that. Okay. Hi there, this is Ray with Easy Simple Mechanic, and today we're gonna go get a vehicle. The customer claims no crank, no start condition. So we're just gonna go load it up on the trailer, get it back home. We'll take you along for the trip. So let's go get it. All right, looks like we're on. Yep. So let's get it back to the house and then we can get to working on it. Well, this is the mess that I got left with here on this truck. Looks like somebody's been in here doing some work. They took this cover off the bottom here. They have some fuse pullers and fuses, and looks like they may have replaced the, what's that? Oh, an ignition switch. They got panels off, cover off, and they left the seat loose. But nonetheless, the first thing we checked is the ignition here. There's no power. So we got to start with the battery. See if we can get some juice to this guy. And we did actually. We put the battery charger on it, and now we are gonna check to see if we have a charged battery. So let me get my meter and we'll check that. Well, we checked the battery and it's got like 4 volts, and what we can see here by putting the charger on, it's not taking any charge anymore. So that battery is dead. It's no good. So we're gonna swap out the battery and we'll start there. Okay, we got to pull that little bolt out right down there, and then we'll go ahead and pull the battery out. Okay, this is the battery hold down. This is what holds it down. And now battery's loose. Let me get this one out, get a new one in. We'll tighten it down. Now this isn't exactly the battery that goes in here, but it's the one I have. So we're gonna go ahead and use it just for testing. And then we can change it out later with what it needs to be. There we go. So now, at the very least, we should have power, and we'll see what that does. Before you start any electrical testing, especially on these electronic components, you want to make sure your battery is charged completely. And as you can see here, we've got about 12.5 volts. We use this battery for the winch, and so it's down a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and put the charger on it so that we can test with some good voltage. Now you see we have is 13.3 volts, plenty of voltage. And so we'll just go ahead and leave that battery charging while we move on. Well, with step number 1 complete, we come in here, we turn the key, and we see the lights come on. So we have all the lights come on, and then we'll just try and crank and see what happens. Yep, nothing. See, we crank. So it's now we have battery, but no crank. So where I like to start, the light is flashing, so that means the alarm is on. We turn the key on, the light goes off, so it should start, but it doesn't. So that's just something to keep in mind. Basically what it's saying is that that anti-theft is working. So with the key off, it's gonna keep flashing. That's just your alarm is set. That'll run your battery down. This truck's been parked for a while. That's why the battery was low. But now we gotta figure out why it's not cranking. So I like to start, these things have a starter relay. So we wanna make sure that we're getting power to the relay before it goes down to the starter, and we can work from there. Okay, under the hood, we have the fuse box, and with the relays in here, if we pull the cover off, it's just flipping this thing off. Take that off of there. And then here we have the fuses and relays. So before we go too far, I'm probably gonna need a schematic, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the starter relay right here. Easy fix sometimes is, if you want to know if it's a relay, it's just these relays are all the same on these Fords. So when I'm trying to figure out, you know, if it's a simple fix, you know, a lot of times before you even pull out tools, sometimes it's just easier to pull a relay from somewhere else, swap these around, and see if anything happens. So we'll swap that one over there, and then if that don't work, we'll swap that one over there, and then we'll swap the other two around. Sometimes that's just a quick fix, and on this one, I'm really not into the troubleshooting mode right now. So I'm gonna try that and see if anything at all changes. If it doesn't, once we swap them all around, then we'll start troubleshooting the relays and figure out if we've got power there or not. Okay, after all the fuse swapping around, so these relays, they should have power coming in all the time. And then when the relay is activated, when you turn the ignition switch, you know, there's something that comes and activates the relay in order to get that power transferred across the relay and over to the starter. So what we need to check first is see if we got power on any one of the terminals. It's typically this, it's hard for you to see probably there, but there's the numbers are here, like a diagram of the relay. The number 30 on these should be the source. So you should have power there all the time. And then when you turn the key, you should get power to one of the ones on the bottom across that resistor, which will engage the relay and cause that power to go across to the other side of the relay and down to the starter. So the first thing we want to do is we want to put our meter, put it on a ground over here, and then we want to go ahead and check to see if we've got power on that number 30 terminal. So by putting it there, we look, and sure enough, I don't know if you guys can see that. I'm having trouble seeing it myself because it's so much light here. Right there, you can see we've got 15 volts. So we've got power there. Now we've got to test to see if we can get the power across one of those other ones, one of the other. Okay guys, so this is the diagram I found online for the starting circuit on this vehicle. And what it shows is that we have, from the battery, we have a fuse 11 that goes to two places. One, it goes to the ignition switch, and two, there's a T right there on S114 that then comes down and goes to the starter relay on terminal 30, which is the one that should be energized all the time. So with us having power to the terminal 30 on the starter relay, which we checked earlier, that would indicate that fuse 11 is good. So now we've got to check, coming through the starting circuit, when you hit the start key, it should put power to fuse 24 inside the cab. So we'll check and see if we've got power to fuse 24 inside the cab. So then we'll go from there. Let's see if we've got, well, if we want to, we can check on the yellow wire going into the ignition switch on B4 and see if we have power. But instead of digging under there, let's just check and see if when we crank, we get power on fuse 24 inside the cab. Okay, so before I get too deep into troubleshooting the circuitry for the ignition, since I'm not sure what they checked, what they didn't check, I want to make sure all the components work. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to make sure this starter will crank. It's right here, that the starter will crank with you know, on its own, because if it doesn't crank, then I'm going to pull it off, bench test it. If it's not working, I'm going to go ahead and get a starter coming for it, because I don't want to get through all my ignition circuit troubleshooting and done and not have a starter that works. So I understood they pulled this off because they thought it was that at once. See, the problem with troubleshooting somebody else's mistakes or somebody else's troubleshooting is that you don't know what they messed with, what they changed, what they didn't change, what they might have burned up, what, you know, what they did. Well, you know, now that I'm down here, I might as well pull the starter off and test it, because I'm already down here. The battery's disconnected, the ground's disconnected. I'm just going to go ahead and pull the starter and bench test it. Okay, so the way I get to this starter stuff is to bench test the starter is I put the ground here. I'm sorry, the sun's in my eyes, I can't really see too good. Okay, so we got the ground hooked up to the ground on the starter, and then this is the hot coming from the battery. So we want to test first to see if the starter spins. So we're going to just put it directly to the starter motor. And you can see that spun. So that means the starter motor is good. Now we got to check this solenoid and see if the solenoid will kick out the gear on the starter. So we go between the positive here and where the wire is supposed to come from the ignition and see if it'll kick it out. nope, there's a short in the solenoid. It ain't doing nothing. So it's got a bad starter solenoid on it. I think they just sell that as a unit, so we'll get that starter coming. So now we have two pieces of equipment that failed on this truck. We got a bad battery, we got a bad starter, and we still have not seen power come from the ignition switch over to the starter relay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some parts ordered, and we'll get back on troubleshooting. Okay, well, this is the starter that we took off of that truck. Now, I was gonna try and get a new piece, but the customer didn't want to spend that kind of money. Apparently, they don't sell the solenoids separately. And so the starter was gonna cost over $200. I think they just want to get the truck running. I think they're gonna get rid of it. So I went to the junkyard, got the next best thing. I was able to find a Ford starter, pulled the solenoid. This is the old one. I pulled the solenoid off of that one and I put it on here. Basically, all there is just the wire, the bolt nut that holds the wire that goes into the armature on the starter, and then two screws right here that hold the solenoid onto the starter. And inside is just a little spring-loaded plunger that this solenoid will pull on. So now that I got that put on there, I'm just gonna test it, bench test it. If it works fine, then we're just gonna go ahead and put it back in. So at least we have that fixed and we can continue troubleshooting the vehicle. Okay, so let's test this solenoid and battery. I'll try and do this with one hand. Of course, that starter will jump around. But first, we want to make sure that it's kicking out the gear. So we got our cable there grounded, and then this one is just touching the cable or the connection that comes from the starter relay. So that'll be this one. See that? How it kicks the gear out. So then now to test both the gear kicking out and the motor spinning, we go across both of these. So this is where your cable comes in from the battery, and then when you turn the key and that solenoid kicks in, then it should provide power to the bottom one. So if we just jump across both of them, it should not only kick it out, but it should spin it. So let's do that. Okay, so as you can see, that's working. I'm gonna go with that, put it back in, and then we'll continue troubleshooting the other issues. Okay, and just like that, the starter's installed. So now we can go test from up on top and see if this thing will crank. Okay, and like we started out with before, we're just gonna make sure we're gonna jumper this starter solenoid or the starter relay and make sure that it cranks, because it should crank. And then we'll start troubleshooting the ignition circuit. So we're just basically gonna jumper across 30 to, was it 87 on the relay. As you can see, that cranks, so our starter is working good now. Okay, just for kicks, I went ahead and put the relay back in. Earlier I wasn't showing any signal in there, but if it ran by jumpering the relay, maybe it'll just start up. And our issue was multiple problems and why they couldn't figure out what it was. Well, there you go. If you can believe that, all that trouble. I think the issue here is mechanics that worked on this, apparently it was more than one, they just couldn't believe they got a bad starter. And they put a battery, they couldn't believe they had a bad battery. So then they came to the ignition switch. They replaced the ignition switch, so, you know, if there was anything wrong with it, I don't know, but it's working now. Ignition switch works. Truck starts up. It's running right now. Seems to be working fine. So there we are. I guess I'll just button up the rest of their mess in there and we'll call it good. Now, she's still gonna have to get a battery for it because this battery is mine. But at least we know what the issues were. Bad battery, bad starter, and I don't know if the ignition switch was bad or not. They had already replaced it. So I'm just gonna leave it and button it back up. Well, folks, that's gonna do it for this episode. I hope you can get something out of that. Please like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching. Catch you next time.